Good morning and welcome to the AM News. My name is Kemini Nyamani. Coming of government tries to talk organized labor out of the intended nationwide demonstration slated for Thursday, 24th July 2014. Meanwhile, the rail workers have called off their indefinite strike they began Monday. On the other hand, heads of assisted secondary schools threatened to close down senior high schools due to government's delay in paying subsidies. Let's get into the detail now. The Greater Accra Regional Branch of Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools is threatening to close down senior high schools following government's delay in paying subsidies. Charles says it is struggling to effectively manage the affairs of senior high schools across the country due to the delay in payment of subsidies to schools. The Ghana Education Service earlier disclosed that the first tranche of subsidy payments to government-assisted senior high schools will be effected between July 14 and 19. But the president of CHAS, Samuel Foreje, said government has failed to pay subsidies which spans a period of 3 terms. The money was to cover expenses such as utilities, maintenance of office equipment, and other important items. He indicated that heads of schools are in a fix, but suggested this is the only option for now. Now, the chiefs in the Eastern region say they are saddened by the deplorable nature of the roads in the area. The chiefs, led by President of the Eastern Regional House of Chiefs, Osagyefo Amoitio Afuripenyin II, inspected a number of roads following what they call consistent cries from their subjects. Osagyefo Amoitio Afuripenyin told Joy News the state of the roads is an indication of government has been unfair to the people.
This is criminal. Now, what could we start? What are we going to do? Are we going to ignore people? What are we going to do? And then when you come here to see this thing so you can address it, it becomes a problem for people. We've got to just face the truth. This is not good.
What's the truth?
The truth is people need to have government taking care of their roads. That is the truth. It's not in our hands. And we can't do it. We just have, the only thing we have left is the freedom to make suggestions and try and persuade policy. And that's what this inspection is about. So we can go back and make suggestions to the president and his government that this is not good.
I spoke to some MPs within this area and they think that your involvement can really trigger a quick response.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Because we're dealing with people here on this earth. That's what we're dealing with. Nothing else. Not partisan interest, not motivated by any political persuasion. We're just dealing with people. The future of our children is what we're here for. All right?
But he's suggesting proper decentralization as the best solution to spread development evenly across the country.
You know, this whole thing starts and finishes with ownership. Ownership. If the people in Suhum and in Samankase have the psychology that they own that road, and if they have resources to build a better road, they will. It looks like we don't own anything in Ghana. Central government owns everything. So the financial discipline will come when people own projects. Yeah. And so we need to have that ownership mentality. When people own their homes, they take care of it. When projects are owned by local people from start to finish, I bet you they will just make sure that it works. After all, local things that are widespread, small projects that are widespread are relatively immune to failure because there's efficiency, there's transparency. I tell you, there won't be any corruption. So that's what the financial discipline will come from.
Well, Minister of Employment and Labour Relations Haruna Idrisu says government is engaging organised labour with the hope of talking them out of an intended nationwide demonstration on Thursday. Speaking with Joy News, the sector minister said the wish of government is that the strike shouldn't happen. Ahead of the planned demonstration, members of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union hit the streets protesting harsh living conditions in the country. Over 500 of workers embarked on this demonstration on Monday, red-eyed, chanting and blaming the government for the poor living standards. The workers cited increased fall of the local currency, hikes in utility and fuel price, all of which has made life uncomfortable for them. Given the current situation in the economy, the angry workers project over 4,000 workers may lose their jobs in September 2014. We'll stay on issues around labour. Members of the Railway Workers Union of the Ghana Trades Union Congress have called off an indefinite strike. They began Monday, July 21. The workers carried through a threat last week to withdraw services in demand of better conditions of service. According to them, their service conditions are so dire that some senior managers, after decades of service with the railways company, still receive meager salaries. Several patrons of the rail service had to find other means to commute after the rail shut down. The workers, however, resolved to call off their strike after meeting with the Chief of Staff. Chairman of the Railway Workers Union, Alex Boateng, said the President had directed the Minister of Finance to pay huge sums of money due them. On to other matters. The Electoral Commission says it has no plans to scrap the biometric voter registration machines come 2016, despite the challenges it posed in the 2012 elections. The EC chair, who was speaking to Joy News at a workshop to deliberate election processes in Africa, however, says it is too early to say what will be done to address the problems that bedevils the process.
The three-day workshop is to discuss and share experiences of electioneering on the continent. The association, under the leadership of Kojo Afarijan, chairman of Ghana's electoral body, has developed a basic, intermediate and professional courses for electoral agents on electoral processes. Sharing the challenges of the Commission under the 2012 elections, Afarijan mentioned the lack of clear understanding of electoral processes by officials of the Commission and agents of political parties. He also mentioned inadequate logistics caused a delay.
Once you start on the road of the use of biometrics, you only improve the use on the road. And you can't abandon the biometric aspect of what we have started. Yes, we will still be biometric. Yes. Everybody is going or wants to go biometric, all right? So it's important to share experiences, where things have been done and the results have not been good. You don't go and replicate the same thing.
Principal PRO of the Commission, Sylviano, reiterated the EC will go ahead and use National Health Insurance ID cards as proof of citizenship in the voter registration exercise, which commences this week, unless the courts rule otherwise. She, however, called for a collective effort to prevent the registration of minors.
Let's generalize the whole situation, in the sense that we all have a part to play. We all have roles to play as far as registration or any other electoral process is concerned. It is a collective responsibility that we all partake of it. Now, if you see minors registering, what is your bet? You have to pick a challenge form. So long as you have the evidence and challenge a particular person, not physically, but as far as the law is concerned. If the law is repealed by the court, if the court says that the Electoral Commission should disallow the use of NHIS cards, so be it, we would oblige respectfully. But so long as that law has not been changed, we cannot go contrary to the law.
The workshop seeks to bring together all stakeholders, such as the media and political parties in the electoral process.
President John Mahama has sworn in 11 new ministers and their deputies with a charge on them to issue acts of corruption and assist him overcome the challenges confronting the nation. The 11 were approved by Parliament after their vetting some weeks ago.
President Mahama told the 11 new ministers and deputy ministers of state that he has great expectations of them and needs their support to help him deal with the current challenges facing the country.
We believe you have what it takes to do the job. Our people are tired of listening to fine talk. What they want to see is the deliverables that will make their lives better. As I said last week at the National House of Chiefs, the time for talking is over. Let us roll up our sleeves and get to work.
He asked them to see the appointment as a privilege and serve selflessly.
In carrying out your duties, you must ensure that you protect the fundamental human rights and freedoms of every person in Ghana, no matter their place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender. In agreeing to join this administration, you are agreeing to ensure that all Ghanaian citizens enjoy reasonable access to public facilities and service and opportunities in accordance with the law. Indeed, we have a collective responsibility to protect our values and our traditions. Let me state that all efforts will be undertaken to ensure that we preserve, secure, and protect our social order founded on our rich traditions as Africans and on the ideals and principles of freedom, equality, justice, probity, and accountability as enshrined in our Constitution.
Health Minister Dr. Kwekwajaman Mensah, on behalf of his colleagues, promised not to let the president down.
And we'll make sure that the better Ghana becomes a living reality. It's not going to be easy, but with God on our side, we will deliver.
Alex Segbefia, Niosa Mills, Atusapon, and Nchibo Siako Setre were some of the ministers and deputies sworn in by the president, said Kwame Boateng's report from the Flagstaff House.
Finance Minister Setekwe says government plans to use about $167 million of the Ghana Stabilization Fund to manage the country's debt. He says although misalignment in the budget has made it difficult for government to pay off loans, a 3-year bond issuance by government is a short-term capital investment to help pay off some debts.
The finance minister said Tekpe debunked assertions government is borrowing unnecessarily, hiking its expenditure on interest payments in the process.
It became necessary to borrow to complete certain projects which were put on a budget, for which ordinarily you would have gone to get a loan, long-term loan, to do. The prime example being the Gulf of Six. So we issued bonds in 2010, 2011 to complete the roads. You will agree with me that the Medina Road is now complete. The Teshin Road is now complete. Roads in other parts of the country are complete. Because we did not go for a World Bank type loan, even with the pullback for 25 years to take our time, we had to borrow for 3 years.
He admitted government was having some difficulties in paying off loans due to misalignment in the budget.
And we put the information there that we have made an increase, in the amount that we want to use, to pay interest because of the high interest rates and the position of the city. That doesn't mean that we are also using all the money to pay interest. We are taking 157 million or 167 million from the Ghana Stabilization Fund for debt management, and it's still leaving 250 million in the Stabilization Fund in the event that your budget revenues go down. You can go for a quarter. We are building it of those funds, to help. Those are the practical measures.
The government is also establishing the debt service account to service debts under the Ghana Infrastructure Fund.
Chief Executive of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Fred Moore, is asking government to clearly tell Ghanaians how it intends to finance projects whose funding has been snubbed following government's decision not to pursue the remainder of the $3 billion Chinese Development Bank loan. He has also advised government to ensure whichever funds it secures are used for the intended projects.
The finance minister said Tekpe in his supplementary budget indicated government will now take only half of the $3 billion it had originally contracted due to new conditions introduced by the Chinese. Government says the terms of the loan are no longer satisfactory because the Chinese are demanding more oil than government is willing to offer in exchange. Communications Minister Dr. Omane Boamah indicated on Newsfile government will soon announce a replacement for the $1.5 billion that is no longer coming. For the CEO of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, Fred Moore, how to finance the remaining projects is key.
If you look through the minister's document about why it has been halved, then I tend to agree with him about the reasons why it's been halved. Because the original intention of the loan was to provide that service, and it wasn't linked to anything. Once it was the city, they wanted to link it to oil. The issue was, as the oil prices go up, we will be paying even more than we needed to. And in that sense, you could actually commend the government in taking the decision that they made. If the question is, could we have got the 1.5 billion somewhere else? With hindsight, everybody has got a 2020 vision. We are where we are today. When the decision was taken, I presume we didn't know all the factors that could have affected it. So I tend to give them the benefit of the doubt.
He also asked government to judiciously use borrowed funds.
In terms of the review, it was silent on what they were going to do about it. I would like to hear more from the minister about what the plans are. What I suspect, if I was in his shoes, is to begin to try and find alternative resources to do the same project, because you and I know from the beginning of the year the oil prices have shot through the roof, which has affected the fuel pumps. If we had given that money to the company, they would be laughing all the way to the bank and would be crying all the way to the poverty. So I think in that sense it was actually a bold and a courageous decision to make.
Although it is unknown which specific projects will suffer with the move, the $3 billion was for financing projects such as the Takoradi-Kumasi Western Corridor Infrastructure Project, the Secondary Free Zone Project, the ICT Enhanced Surveillance Project for the Western Corridor Oil and Gas Enclave Project, among others.
Well, that's it for AM News. The sports with Benedict Owusu. After me, my name is Kimini Nyamani Amano.